what do you think is critical for you, but also for other people that are grieving right now, so that a year from now, 2 years from now, you're not, losing your mind? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, my mom passed 3 weeks ago. Our lead pastor's mom died last year. And so last year I was essentially in his shoes now, like, helping him, walking through it with him, giving him the space he needed. And so now, like, the roles are essentially reversed, where he's doing the same thing for me. And he's giving me the space that I need to kind of walk through, which I'm thankful for. But man, I think something that, one, I want to grieve well. And I think what that looks like for me and for, I think, a lot of people is directly dealing with it instead of allowing it to, and you can't stop it from coming up, right? It comes up in different things, but like there's so many times where we just like push it aside or stuff it under the rug, or like we just don't want to deal with it. We don't want to deal with it, and it's almost more explosive and more difficult to deal with in indirect ways. But like directly dealing with it, identifying like, who am I really angry at? Am I really angry at my kids, or am I really angry at God, right? Like, because like we redirect anger, and I redirect anger right now. Like right now, I redirect anger a lot. Like that's like my thing. Like I'm not patient in general, but I'm even less patient, right?
Yeah, sure.
I have 3 daughters that are under 5, like 5 and under, right? And which is crazy, and and so one, I want to grieve well. And I want to grieve in an honest way that's not like, I'm fine, like, don't talk to me, I'm fine, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with me, right? Also, because I have 3 daughters, right? Like, my youngest daughter, she's a year. She doesn't understand. My other 2 daughters, she's 4, and my other daughter's going to be 6 in December. Like, they know exactly what's happened. Like, they ask tons of questions. And, like, to not be transparent in the way that you grieve, like, I feel like I do them a disservice, because then they wouldn't know what to do with their feelings. Like, what am I supposed to do with my feelings? And like walking my oldest daughter through redirecting her anger and her frustration, because there was one night, man, this had me all choked up crying. Like, there's one night she's just being like mean to everyone, like just angry and mean to everyone. I'm like, what? I was like, all right, you go to bed early. And so, and I was just frustrated, right, with her. And I'm sitting with her, and I put her down, and I'm like looking at her, and she's like furious, fuming. I'm like, what's up with you today? I've never seen you this angry at like the smallest things. She's like, I'm just so angry. I was like, why? She's like, I don't know. I was like, okay. I was like, and I said, do you think maybe you're not angry at all these little things that don't make sense, and maybe there's something bigger that you're angry at? She said, maybe. I was like, okay, like, what do you think are you maybe angry? Like, she called my mom Gigi. Are you maybe angry about Gigi, about her dying? And she said, yes. And then this is the thing that kills me. And I was like, okay. And I said, that's great, like, that you said that. I was like, figuring out what you're really angry about is an awesome step. Like, that's awesome. And like, for me, like, I'm walking her through what I need to do. Like, figuring out what I'm really angry about is like awesome. And then I said, well, why don't you talk about it? Why don't you share me? What are you most upset about? And like, it's like she's like this little girl. She's got all these emotions like all bottled up. She takes a deep breath, and she said, my mom, she passed on Monday. She was in the hospital before then, and they weren't letting any kids in. And her birthday was that Sunday beforehand, and I was supposed to take my kids in. We do this whole thing for my mom for her birthday. And on Saturday, she got back from the hospital into the home that she was in, with the nursing home, with the help that she was getting. And my daughter's like, can I come see her this time? And I was like, no, she just got in there. She let her settle. I was like, next time, I promise you, I'll take you with me. And then so she said, my daughter, she's like, what are you most upset about? She's like, you promised me the next time you take me to go see Gigi, but there is no next time anymore, and now I'll never see her again. And as she said it, it's like she exhaled, and she just starts crying. And, I'm not good at recognizing all cries, but like this cry was different than any other cry I've heard. It was just like this deep, wounded cry. And it was good for her. She needed that. And I think that, for me, it's just like walking myself through the same thing. Like, what am I really angry about, right? Like, what am I really angry about? Like, I'm not really angry about, like, my kids making a mess out of my house. I'm angry at God for allowing this thing to happen. I'm angry at God for, like, my mom retired and moved to Lynchburg. This was supposed to be, like, my mom, like, she worked 2 jobs when I was growing up to provide for my family. Like, and so she just worked so hard always. This was supposed to be her, like, season of enjoying life that she's never had, where she's with her grandbabies and we're doing all this fun stuff together. And she moved in the summer in July. In March, she broke her tailbone. There was really no season of her enjoying. And I'm angry that, like, he robbed her of this season to just be with her grandchildren, to be with me, and, like, to enjoy life. Like, she was so excited about doing ministry in Lynchburg. Like, my mom, she's fiery, right? She's like, so many people came to my mom's funeral from, like, all around just to talk about, like, her impact and like people calling her, like, their spiritual mother, right? And I was just like, it was so cool to see, and so many people came for that. And, like, I'm angry that, like, he robbed that from her, and I'm angry that, like, my kids, like, they don't have, like, their grandmother, like, from that, like, you know, the entire, like, you know, my, like, Indian culture, like, I have nobody to, like, teach it to them except, like, me. And it's just, like, frustrating to me that, like, part of who my kids are, like, it's like harder to, like, explain to them who they are, where they come from, what that means. And so, like, just like my daughter, like, identifying, like, what I'm upset about, and then, like, talking about, like, okay, I'm actually angry at God. Okay, well, what am I angry at? Like, what are the things that hurt the most? And then just, like, being able to, like, vocalize it, right?
Yep, there
like,
it is.
God is a big God. He is a big God, and if you tell God you're angry at him because of A, B, and C, whatever, he's not going to be like, I couldn't take it, right? Like, that's too much, right? Like, that's not too much.
Yeah, we're not going to hurt his feelings.
No, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt his feelings. In fact, what that's going to do is, like, he wants it. He wants to receive, like, those feelings and those hurt, and it allows us, it's almost like a step into deeper intimacy with God.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no one in Scripture who wrestled with God walked away different.
Yeah.
Or didn't walk away different.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Like, they were changed. They were marked. And then in some ways it even helped to inform what was next.
And, like, my questions of why, like, God's never going to tell me why. Like, right, maybe I'll get to heaven and I'll be able to see, right? He's not going to be like, this is why this happened. This is why you had to experience so much loss and suffering in your life, right? Like, I'll never get those answers to it. But I need to trust.
There it is again.
Yeah, I need to trust. And, like, I don't right now. Like, I don't.
Yes.
This morning I woke up, I took a shower, and I prayed a prayer, and it's something, it's almost like a mantra, like, that I'm going to keep saying over and over again. Like, God, I know that you're good, and I know that your hand is working in my life, and it's in my best interest, even if I can't see it. I don't believe that right now, but I said it, and I'm going to keep saying it over and over again, and I know that my heart will follow and will believe those words, and I don't know why, but I need to trust that, you know, it was the right time for my mom to come home. It was in her best interest. It was the best thing for her. It was the best thing for me. Like, the suffering, the loss that I've experienced in life, it's not pointless. God has greater purpose for what that is. And so, man, grieving to me is just like being honest and real with my Father and saying, like, God, this is why I'm upset and hurt. Like, you left me alone.
There are so many people who live in probably shame and guilt, or they've walked away completely simply because of the fact that they experienced something difficult and they never articulated it.
Yeah.
Like, they feel guilty or shame because they feel that. And then so it's like, well, I'm a bad Christian, or, you know, people are going to think ill of me, or especially if I'm someone in leadership and influence, right?
Yep.
And so it begins to just fester and just almost like spread like a disease internally, or they just say, like, I'm not going to vocalize or shed light on this, and so then I'm just going to veer off and go a really dark path. And there was something so profound and like holy and beautiful in just what you did, like that people needed to see and hear. And I think you've probably given permission to people.
Yeah.
Like right now that you've given, that will listen to this, that you've given permission for them to be able to start that journey of grieving and then eventually healing.